before we get into the video today, I want to give a huge shout out to the Patreons. If you don't know, I did recently start a Patreon here. They give you a bunch of access, including like unreleased schematics, my custom texture pack if you ever wanted my custom texture pack with, we go into survival here, my custom fire hearts, and then the armor, the netherite, and the tools. All those have been changed to something a little bit different and more appealing in my opinion. Also, the fireworks are now a orange based color, and then the cooked pork chops here are the fire heart that Fred has made for me. So yeah, there's a lot of other things as well. There's a bunch of things. So if you want to go down there, support me. All the stuff that I get from the Patreon goes directly into server maintenance costs and things like that, or future perimeter decoration planning. So if you do want to do that, greatly appreciate it. It is by no means required to do so, but I greatly appreciate it, and everybody on AutoCraft can definitely say the same thing, as it definitely keeps the AutoCraft server operational and everything like that. So yeah, get out of your way, and we'll head on to today's video. Alright, so today we're going to be something a little bit different than I've actually ever done before. So we're going to be planning something out in creative on camera, and then we're actually going to go build it in survival on the main SMP. I've never really done this before. I've only ever shown the actual progress on SMP. I've never done anything in a creative testing world in the same video, then show it off in the end of the video. But today we're going to do something a little bit different, and we are going to be designing a bulk crafting area. Now you may think, well, we already have one of these with Andrew's new mass crafter in the main storage. Well, yes, that does work for some use cases. This one, I want it to be used for only specific things, like if we need to decraft a bunch of iron blocks, redstone blocks, any of those kind of blocks that we need to massively decraft into the dust, iron, gold, any kind of that sorts we need for some reason, mainly for pistons. I want to have that available here, that way we can do that as well. All in all, just be a very useful thing for not only us, but for other people that want to use it. You definitely can use it with this we're going to do today. Behind me here, we have my new one wide tileable mass decrafter here. So what this thing does here is when you put a redstone block, for example, in the top, we'll put 16 in here, you see that we are dispensing the crafted redstone out at a very fast rate. Now, because of this circuit here, it's not the fastest it could be because this keeps retracting. If we wanted to make it faster, we could put a repeater and stuff here, but we can't really go out with how we have this out, because we do this, that'll QC power the piston, which we don't want to do. Obviously, this isn't meant to be only used for a couple redstone blocks, but it is something that is definitely better than the old item decrafters, which is a very simple circuit. All we're doing is just making it a bit faster by doing a hopper minecart underneath rather than a hopper, because the speed of that is, as you can see, much faster than this regular crafter here. And the reason for the target block is if you were to tile it next to each other, you need that target block to redirect the dust back into the block to power the top hopper. That's the only reason that's for there. But for our use case, honestly, I don't think we're going to do that. I think we're going to do is I'm going to go tile this the way I think we should do it, because not only are target blocks just really annoying to get, they don't look the best, and they're just exposed like this. So give me 1 second. I'm going to tile this the way I think we should do it, and then we'll be right back to start planning the rest of this mass crafter out. Alright, so this is how I think we should tile it. Looks a little bit better in my opinion, rather than having them all in a straight line and only having this lock-in for the top hopper, minecart hopper on the top on the one side. This looks a little bit better, especially when we're going to tile it 27 long, because that's how many slots there are in a shulker box, and we're going to be losing the instant shulker box unloading feature of 117 to make this even faster than ever before. So the reason why we have this redstone block repeater here and the activator rail is to lock the top minecart hopper while it's idle. Just saves a little bit on performance, which is what we really want. And actually this is the old schematic, so this had that up there when I realized that I could also just put this down there like that, and which is why this is a little bit better. You don't need a no block or anything like that, or any extra blocks that you would need. So yeah, doing that a little bit definitely makes it a little bit better. So you don't constantly hear in 118, but they did revert that where you would hear the no block constantly going off, but because there was a block on top, you wouldn't hear that anyway in 117, which is what we were in. But yeah, this is how I think we're going to do it. This definitely looks a little bit better in my opinion, and it's the same functionality, it's just rotated tiled, so it doesn't have to interfere, and this other case we don't really use the target blocks at all, which is a big step in the right direction. C pickles here are actually in the schematic for the hopper minecart alignment for the top one, and then if you do the regular minecart alignment here with these, obviously this won't be placed in the right direction, but forget these hopper minecarts in the correct position. All you need to do is get a wall, put that in the corners here, 2 rails in the center, then that, then push those away, and then you can push the blocks inside with pistons to make sure that they cannot move anywhere, especially when you're doing this tiled hopper minecart, or any minecart for that matter. Does have a chance for it to move around when they're close together. And then all we need to do is the C pickle on the side there, our other rail, and then push that against the C pickle, and then we have our perfect hopper minecart alignment. It will prioritize one of them at first, but since in our use case it's to be used for mass uncrafting, there will be always a stack or so up top in the top hopper when we are doing the unloading of the shulker boxes. So it will prioritize the first one. One of them, it could be either one depending on what direction you build it. It will prioritize one of those first, but then once this one fills up, it'll go to the other one, which is why you need 4 hoppers to keep up with that. So yeah, that's how you basically get the minecarts in if you were wondering how to do that. And then yeah, so we'll go tile this now 27 times, and then we'll start working on the actual shulker box unloading. Shulker box loaders we'll need a bunch because yeah, each one of these slices is 36,000 per hour. So we're gonna need a lot of shulker box loaders. But yeah, so that's really easy to build. Honestly, the hardest part will be getting these bottom minecarts in, but because there's just 27 of them, it's gonna take some time to do, but it's not too bad at all. So yeah, let's go do that, and then we'll be on to the next step. Alright, so we have the full 27 of the unloaders tiled here, and then we also have the partial water stream. Now, there are redstone blocks here just as a proof of concept that this actually doesn't even have to be packed ice for this to work properly if you align it the correct way. So I did find out that you could do it this way as well, and it makes it a lot easier to tile this together. And because even though it's rotated tiled, if you just had it tiled correctly, all your hoppers would be on one side. But for our use case, we need to have it alternate if you don't want to use the target blocks, and for it to give it a little bit of a better look here. As you can see, it looks just a little bit better when it's tiled like this, in my opinion. So yeah, to show you how this will work, we're going to have all the hoppers locked as of now, and then we basically align the item perfectly so that it flows to the middle and can get picked up by both of the hoppers here. What we're going to do is we're going to throw the redstone block in, and then it'll go all the way down, and it will drop at the edge. But because we have 27 and we're only going to unload a shulker box at a time, all 27 stacks will get filled up, so we don't actually need any blocks at the end here. And because of hopper cooldown, when we unload the shulker boxes, we're going to basically stop the shulker box items before sending them off. That way they're all stacked up, and then they'll all transfer through at the same time, which means only one stack will go to each hopper, which is how we take advantage of that hopper cooldown. So now I want to add something as well. So what we're going to do is we're going to basically make an AND gate with all of these here, with all this redstone dust. And once all of those are empty, we're going to then send off another shulker box, which basically makes the whole timings of everything really easy to do, but it will be a bit more expensive instead of just doing like a regular hopper clock. But this makes it a little bit easier to do, in my opinion, but we'll see what we come up with, and we'll be back. Alright, so we got our AND gates and everything all in. We also have this shulker box, instant shulker box unloader, a 3x3 design by them. I'm not going to try to pronounce their name, I'm probably going to say it wrong, but yeah, very nice design. It's 3x3x3, very small, and definitely works in this situation. You can see it's a little bit off-centered, but it's not too big of a deal. This is really just to make sure that everything works, then we can fine-tune it if we need to, but for now, this is what it's going to be. We need to put that into place there. And unfortunately, we do need to have a toggle state here, just because we can't, because these will all turn off once these have items, and we don't want to send the signal back to it again. We want to wait for it to go back, so we have to wait for the second pulse, basically. So unfortunately, that's what we're going to have to do, but it's not too big of a deal. So why did I use the trapdoor there? Just to kind of like a more visible change in the block. Well, you could use a note block here as well. Use the trapdoor so you could see when exactly it gets powered and everything like that. You could definitely swap it out if you wanted to. If you wanted to then put a note block there and put a block on top, but I think the trapdoor would give you a good idea when the system's actually being fired. So we actually we'll do 3 shulker boxes here for the iron, and you can see that the fountain of stuff we'll get. And then we have this delay circuit down here too, which will then, the first one up here will power the piston, which will then lower that. And then the next one will then retract this piston, which will then push the last block back up, stopping the water from flowing. Now, why do we have this stop here? Well, because when you unload a shulker box, the items kind of go everywhere in the block that it is. So we kind of want to bring them down all to the right on top of each other, all 27 stacks of shulker boxes. We want them on top of each other. That way we can take advantage of the hopper cooldown, and then that way we can send them across all 27 hoppers here, and that won't cause any interferences. So that's ideally what we want to do here. So let's send this off and test it out. This is my first time actually trying this. I haven't fully tested it out. I've only made sure that this is enough delay to let the items flow through here. So let's give it a shot. So shulker boxes get unloaded, they then group up, then they get sent on their way. And as you can see, all of our all 27 got the iron blocks here, and each one got the same amount basically. And then now all of our top ones should be off. There it is. It is pretty frame intensive because you are unloading a huge waterfall of items here. But yeah, we gotta figure out how we're gonna solve that. And we have this 4-tick repeater here to stop this from up here from going up and down like it does before. If we then take this out, we would then get a signal constantly, which we don't want to do. So now that's off. Now that's back on. New box got dispensed, and then that's off again. And then as you can see, the longer it goes, now we have every single one firing at once. So this will be pretty laggy because of all the item entities, but we really can't do much about that because that's how fast we want to unload the system. And it is working, which I am definitely happy with. So we now have this retracted again, waiting for all the hoppers to fill again. Basically, once one of them runs out of items, usually the first one here, once this one will then run out of items, then we will send it off yet again, which should be very, very soon. There we go. And that's our last one, so we have all 3 there. So then once this then goes back, it will then reset back to its current off state. And it will not fire again because it'll fire the unloader, but because there is no more shulker boxes to be unloaded, the system will just go back to its neutral off state, and then you will have to wait eventually for these to empty because the hopper minecarts do start to get filled up a little bit. As long as this one up here doesn't get filled, we will be good to go. There we go. So obviously if you use this for a long period of time, this hopper minecart will get filled because of this hopper logging, and you could very easily get rid of that just by getting rid of that. If you don't care about the idle MS of the system, you could get rid of this system here. But now we have the huge still waterfall of items incoming out of the system, which is just crazy to look at. If you look up top here for the entities, there's usually like 1,000 entities at any given point in time, which is just crazy to think about, that you could like unload a shulker box and like that. So basically this shulker box that we put in for iron blocks here will get turned into 9 shulker boxes of iron ingots, and that will be done very, very quickly here. And then all of these systems are now turning off, which is just very satisfying to watch. But yeah, this is the first stages of it. We have this. We'll very soon get a UI for this, but we need to figure out what we're going to do with all the items now because we're unloading at a very, very fast speed. And that speed is actually it's 108 times hopper speed basically. So that's over basically close to 1 million items per hour. at unloading speed, which is just crazy with only 27 of these uncrafters here. And that's a bit crazy. So like I said, you can get rid of the sticky piston if you wanted to not lock the top hopper, but some people do like to have that idle MSPT a little bit lower. So if we were to unlock all these, I can show that now. So we're at hovering around 2.6 ms. We're gonna just unlock all these hopper minecarts here. You can see even just that one side, our MS basically doubles, which is just, you know, the reason why I want to lock them, just because of how many hopper minecarts there are in the system. So yeah, if you can hover around 2.5, we're hovering around 6.57 ms now, which is not ideal. So I'm thinking about doing something a little bit different here, where we take advantage of the Vortec repeater up here so that we don't have the constant flashing or this extending and retracting of the sticky pistons here. So I'm going to be using this. We can't use a redstone block here, unfortunately, because we would then QC this piston here, which we don't want to do. So I'm going to use a composter here, which is definitely something that's not ideal because you have to actually fill the composter. But it's only going to be single strength 1, so it's not too big of an issue here. So what we're going to do is we're going to fill all of these sticky pistons here, replace them with, I guess we'll do glass. We'd use concrete as well if you wanted to. It's not too big of an issue. But that's personal preference. So then this way we won't actually have the extra buffer in the end. We could get rid of that basically. So now we have a little bit more delay with everything like that, and it'll just be a bit more expensive because you need to have another comparator for each one. But all in all, it's definitely not too bad. There's a lot less redstone blocks than in this case, which is better, but this really won't be too expensive anyway. So now we have all those filled in. Then I'll do the same for the other side, and then we'll also do another test here. I'm also thinking about doing the same thing here so that we don't have to use slime in the system. But it's all basically going to look the same anyway on the map. But not using much slime could be something that would be better for resource gathering. It's all in all just the use case, and then you have to bring more items over to fill the composters up, and you will use another comparator instead of the redstone block and a redstone dust, which I think is going to be a better alternative. So I'm going to change this over to the composter variant. And if you do want to, you know, if you want to use this in your own world and you prefer the slime and redstone block, you definitely can do that if you would like to. Alright, there we go. I think it looks a little bit better actually with the composters and everything like that. Not having to use a slime definitely will save on different materials that you need to get for this, and we're trying to keep it as close as we can to the same material for pretty much everything here. So yeah, I think we still have shulker boxes in here. We have 2. Let's get a third into there. And then we'll test this one out as well. So let's start it off. Ooh, we need to add more delay there. So I don't think we're going to get every single one. We are not. Alright, one last time. If this doesn't work, then we'll just go add a little bit more delay as well. Looks to be good. All 27 got their box here. That's good to see. Now we're unloading at full 972,000 items per hour once we get the second batch, basically. So the first batch is a little bit slower. It's only half the speed, only about 500,000. But once we get the second batch, you can see all of them start to go down. And that's what we want to see. That's their full speed. There we go. Actually, this is the second batch. Actually, the first batch will work at full speed, just not right away. You need to wait for the first hopper minecart to fill up first. There we go. So they all got it again, which is good to see that it's looking to be reliable. And now there's the full 900,000 items per hour being dispensed, which is a little bit crazy to see. All from just a single shulker box unloaded. You should see one more box here momentarily. Once the first one goes, there we go. Next box goes. And then they all get the boxes again. Very nice. So that's great to see that it's working now. at full speed. So now we're going to go on to the shulker box loaders, the UI, and then we'll be back once it's fully done. Alright, so the full system is completely finished designing in theory, so we haven't really tested it yet, but I do plan to do that obviously before building it in survival. But everything in theory does work. All we did was add the UI, and we added the shulker box loaders at the bottom here. So yeah, like I said, everything works in theory, everything's looked up. So the water stream from the shulker box loaders that we added, we basically added 6x loaders to everything here, since they are 3 wide tileable. Every single hopper has 2x speed, which is at the top here, which is what we want. We want to get the items out as fast as possible, and a 2x hopper down here will keep up with the dropper that is getting fired at 2x hopper speed up here. But yeah, for the UI, it's very, very simple. Should be really easy to work with. There's empty shulker box input for both sides with lamp indicators, which is taken by the end here. So once that is filled up, we use single strength 15 as well. So that way when the shulker box is going in, it doesn't keep flashing. But yeah, so then there's 2 different things as well. So we have the system's idle and the system is crafting. And then if this one is on, that basically tells you that there is items, or a minimum of 15 shulker boxes to be decrafted in the system currently. And yeah, so that's what we do, is just do a simple one. So this is idle, and then once it's crafting, it goes over to the other one, which then powers these 3 lamps. And then to start the sequence, you have to power this, just click this no block down here, and if you have any shulker boxes, it will start the sequence. If you don't, it'll just dispense it'll just start the sequence once and then won't continue. But there's really nothing. I could add a safety feature, but it would just be a lot bulkier, and for my use case on AutoCraft, I really think there's not really going to be too much use case, but I wanted to finally finish the storage area off, and this would be the thing I would want to add to that area. So then yeah, those shulker boxes make their way up, and then those go into the shulker box displays here. It can make this a little bit better if you really wanted to, but I wanted to make it as simple as possible in a sense to make. But yeah, everything else is pretty much just all the same as you've seen. I haven't changed anything at all. And then the shulker box input goes down, and then all the way down the line. A lot of unlocked hoppers, but I mean, still, sitting at idle around 3 ms in a single player world isn't bad at all. The most lag that this produces is because of all the item entities, which I'm hoping is going to be improved a bit with the hoppers now being here, instead of them all being flying down into the void and then breaking themselves once we start building this up in survival here. Alright, as you saw from that time lapse there, the full mass bulk decrafter has been fully built up in survival, and I just realized I left some glass there, so we're gonna go take that down. That was when I had to fill in the shulker box loaders for the first time. I wanted to put a shulker in each of the dispensers automatically, so that's what I needed to do there. But not too big of a deal. A little bit of glass with instant glass break-in, carpet add-ons, then that makes it really easy to do and very, very quick. So yeah, Factory's built up. We have 3 shulker boxes of iron blocks. Really don't need to test more of that, but I'll get the factory, or the, I'm gonna keep calling it a factory for some reason, because I always, usually make factories for, materials and AutoCrafters, but it's a miniature factory in a sense, so we'll call it that. So yeah, not really any use case for it as of now. We don't really need a bunch of the any of these blocks in their ingot form at all, really. It's kind of just, like a quality of life and a nice challenge for me to like actually design something like this, which I've never really done before. So it's kind of like a mass crafter in a sense as Andrew's over here, but it's not really universal. This one is universal, however, this one's really only used for the iron, redstone, gold, those kind of blocks into their ingot form. You could also use it for the iron and gold nuggets if you wanted to do that. For whatever reason, if you wanted to do golden carrots or something, I don't know, man. But yeah, you could definitely do that. And yeah, so we're gonna put these 3 into here, make sure it's all working. Judging by this lamp, this one's off. I still need to do the signs. I'm out of glowing, so I gotta go get some of that to finish these off. But yeah, so that's all there. Judging by that lamp there, we have shulker boxes and a bunch there. So obviously, because we had to turn off the shulker box stacking here for the server, for this new addition for the storage to work properly, we don't really, any of our systems that like this are actually feasible to do now, because previously they would have had to fill 18 stacks of shulker boxes per each shulker box loader, and there is quite a bit of them there. Doing this now, we only get the 1 per each slot instead of the full stack per each slot, which makes filling these things up a lot easier, but it's always there's always a trade-off. So for our shulker box factory that we used to have very over here, what we had here was just about 20 or 30 chests per side for storage for the shulker boxes, and that used to be able to hold around 200 or so thousand shulker boxes, but unfortunately now that's really down to about 2,000 because there's not a lot of space compared to the 54 stacks you could fit into one double chest. It's now to 54 shulker boxes, so it's a big decrease, but there are some trade-offs. But this, honestly, we have new main storage upgrades, so that's definitely worth it in the long run for sure. But we'll just have to make either a bigger storage or just keep less shulker boxes. There's still like 100,000 shulker boxes there, so we'll barely run out of them in a long time, but really doesn't make sense to do that if there's other solutions for that. So yeah, enough Lumberland. Let's put these shulker boxes in, and we won't get that lamp to turn on because we don't have the full dropper here plus the hopper there filled up to get that on. Not too big of a deal as long as you know how many items you're putting in. There's really nothing too big of a deal to do. I did also, as you saw on the time lapse, I did switch to the cobwebs. It also helped with the shulker box loaders quite a bit. So instead of the hoppers only being able to pick up 1 item at a time, this cobweb stacks them up in batches of 64, and they all fall into the hoppers. It makes it look a little bit cleaner as well, and it actually does decrease the MSBT a little bit because they're all in stacks of 64 rather than a bunch of singles and then a couple of stacked ones there. Something else I also did add is a force shutoff here. So any of these 2 note blocks here on the side will turn off the dispensing of the shulker boxes, which in turn will turn the crafter off because it's all based upon dispensing and then the items going over the hoppers here with the use of the AIM gate. So that we'll do that. Obviously, with the wait, the one downside to the cobwebs is you have to wait a longer time for those to be done, and then also all the shulker box unloaders to do. We will probably add if we plan to use this, I highly doubt it, we'll add like a chunk loading area over here. We only need about 1 chunk loader. That way this is loaded if that is still working, and we'll just take it off of the shulker boxes being dispensed basically, and then have a fade out clock or something like that. But yes, the system, that's really the only changes I made between the other cuts, and yeah, everything's all built up. Shulker box displays here. Still, you know, something that's decently okay. I don't like the amount of observers I use up here, but to keep it within the area, that's what I kind of had to do. Work. Enough rambling. Let's turn the mass crafter on and see it working. We will need to turn down our game sounds. I had the lava bucket and the empty bucket in the wrong dispensers there, so that didn't work out too well. We just lost a shulker box of iron. It's not too big of an issue, honestly. It's like very little time for us to get that back, so I couldn't really care, to be honest. If that was, you know, like anything else, you know, like a full shulker of, like, you know, netherite ingots or blocks, then obviously that would be complete pain, but it's honestly not too big of an issue. We'll just go grab another shulker box of iron blocks, throw that into the system again, and we'll go place down this glass because I forgot to do that. And this one should work this time, hopefully. The empty bucket there, which is where it needs to be. Just this one, I don't think it does a little bit different, so let's see if this one works now. Still stayed idle because nothing went over the dropper. There we go. Iron blocks going down. And now we start to do the decrafting. Our lights are over to crafting there. And yep. So we got half of them working here. There it goes, a bit worried there, but they are starting to all work now. And you can hear the door spam, unfortunately. That's just how it has to be. There's really no other way around it, but second batch is going in now. There we go. So yeah, only thing I hate with the cobwebs is it obviously slows it down a lot, but it does obviously decrease the lag. You can see on the server here, we're usually around 15 ms idle because of the chunk load inline, which you do plan to improve. So, and at the store it's around about 20, so only about a 5 ms increase for the amount of items that are being dispensed right now. It's kind of crazy, and it's all the stuff going on too. It's actually not too bad for only 5 MSPT, and I'm not even in a full render distance perimeter at all, which is actually really, really good. So yeah, I think the third one got dispensed there. And we should go back to idle in momentarily. So yeah, honestly, I love how this area turned out. It's pretty, there is obviously a lot of improvements you can make to it, like some hopper locking and things like that, but just locking the top hopper minecarts here greatly improves the MSPT when it's idle very much. So yeah, that was just like that. There was 3 shulker boxes of iron blocks decrafted. Obviously there's still some being transferred through the hopper minecarts themselves from these 2 guys up here, but it'll be about a minute or 2 before those all stop again. It's like I said, it's all down to the cobwebs here, slowing it down a little bit, but this goes back to idle, and we should see some shulker boxes up here. We should at least get 1 shulker box per shulker box unloader. We'll get about 1 or 2 because there is a 2-box buffer for this shulker box loader, which isn't too big of a deal, honestly. For our use case, if we were to use it, there's not really that big of an issue for that. But yeah, all in all, area is pretty nice. Fits in quite well, and it has kind of the same, you know, form factor as Andrew's. Has, like, you know, the tall area, then a bunch of shulker box loaders. But kind of fit ours all into one area, which definitely, I think, fits in quite nicely and basically will wrap up the main storage here. So we have the new bulk that we changed out. We lost about like 250,000 capacity per blocks, but we have a better bulk, honestly, in my opinion. Dazi definitely made a nice choice with this new addition here. And any of the storage stuff you've seen like change from the last one has all been Dazi, so a huge thank to Dazi for, you know, taking the time and effort to make all these changes for us. And so we got a new, I think, area here for the unstackable sorter. There's a new vanilla decrafting area here. There's also like the ender pearl 6 chamber that Dazi did, and there is a whole new, yeah, this thing down there, as well as that there underneath the bulk, and then we have the new unloading array, which is just one of the most satisfying things to watch that I've ever seen. But yeah, honestly, I don't know what any of this stuff is. I know what like they do, but who made it, anything like that, I don't know. It's a question for Dazi. Like I said, we've never given out the schematic, and we probably won't do it at all, just because the amount of time Dazi spends on it. It's all basically up to them and everyone on the server, because you know these take a lot of time, and I know Dazi's probably spent countless hours on the storage, so they don't want to give it out. Completely up to them. They spend all the time for it, not my decision. But yeah, so everything's all done. It works as it looks like so far. Shulker boxes have stopped loading. Let's actually go check what is capacity is there. So yeah, I guess we got one. We didn't fill the box. Oh no, we did fill the box. Just in the hoppers. Yeah, okay. Yeah, so look, there is a box buffer here, which is not too bad at all. I thought it was 2, but 1 box, perfectly okay. Like I said, we really don't need this iron, so it's not too big of a deal if we don't get it as of now. But yeah, so that's all good to go. Nice addition to the storage. So make sure you like, subscribe, all those sorts of things, and I'll see you in the next one.